Well, most of us want to mix up our makeup routine, particularly our eyes, but who hasn't picked the wrong color or gone too dramatic? Here to show us the do's and don'ts, and probably she's used to fixing some sloppy work by people like me, is makeup artist Dalesa Blockmon. Now, where do we start?
So with eyeshadow, you just typically start with like either a warm or neutral shade, or kind of like a shade that's kind of closer to your eyeshadow or your face, just to make sure that you're blending everything in before you start with the harsher shades.
And you brought in your sister here, so what colors did you pick?
So today I'm going to use, it's a color called Juicy. I'm just going to start with this before I start blending it, or before I start using the harsher shades.
And you just started with that because it's more of a neutral shade and you can work from there?
Yeah, you can just build it up to get like to the darker shades, so it won't look so harsh when you start blending.
Okay, then I noticed you're using a nice fluffy brush. What are some good affordable brushes?
For brushes, I like to go towards Morphe brushes or BH Cosmetics.
And is there a place that we should actually start with this brush?
So for eyeshadow, you typically want to start like around right here, because if you start up here, it'll be a lot harder to blend. So you always want to start right here, and then you go in circular motions to get the better finish and to get the more seamless finish.
Okay, so you want to start more on the outside, work your way in, and then how do you know when it's fully blended?
When you don't see any harsh lines. So like right now, it's not all the way blended, so you just want to keep blending.
Okay, and I'm also looking at a few other photos of makeup work that you've done, which is awesome. Did you use that same kind of color scheme here?
Well, for hers, that was more so for like a wedding, but that one I didn't have any eyeshadow on at all.
Okay.
But usually I go towards like the neutral colors, more the warms and browns.
Okay, and then how do we pick out the right shade? Do we do it off of our skin tone, our outfit? Where do we start?
It just typically depends on how you feel. So if you want to go like a look like today, or like before you want to go out, then you typically want to start like the neutrals and everything. And then if you go out, I would do like a smoky eye, or it's just all up to you how you feel.
Okay. And then where do we go from here once we've got that great base kind of in the crease area?
So after that, we're going to go into a darker shade called Devilish. And then you're just going to, again, make sure you always tap off your brush. And then you just want to start on the outside again, and then you just literally blend it all in.
Okay, I'm still like stunning over that name, Devilish. Are you ready to get a little devilish? No, why is it so important to always tap your brush?
Because if you just literally go in like this and not tap it out, then it'll be a lot harsher to blend, a lot harder to blend. So I just want to tap it off and then just go back in with your brush.
Okay, and this is probably one of your tried and true methods, but are there any don't ever do this or anything you should always do?
Do not ever start with a darker shade on your eyes. Okay. Because if you do, it'll be a lot harder to blend, and it's not gonna come out good.
Okay, and do you always recommend kind of starting in that crease area versus like on the lid?
Yeah, so usually you just put like a shimmer shade on your lid, or like any color that you want to make your lid pop. That's the color that you use to do on your lid. But typically if you're just blending eyeshadow, then you just want to just go on your lids, or on your eyelids, and then just blend it in.
Okay, so what are you doing now?
So right now I'm adding the darker shade to kind of give our eye a little bit more definition and a little bit more drama.
Okay, and I notice you're using a pretty wide brush.
So it depends on your eyelids. So for her eyelids, being that her eyelids are pretty big, you always want to use like a big fluffier brush. And then for like my eyelids, I have to use like more of a dense brush, but still kind of fluffy. So it doesn't go all the way on her eyebrow, but then it just kind of stay in that crease area.
Okay. So once you get kind of the crease set, a darker color on the outside, are you moving in towards the eyelid next? Yes,
then you go into the eyelid, and then you want to use, I use the shimmer shade on hers. It's more like a champagne color. It's called Turn On.
Okay.
And then for shimmers, I always want to use some spray.
Okay.
Just because it's a lot easier.
And we're going to throw the mascara while we're doing this, because I mean, it's a shimmer shade, right? We got to have a party.
So you always want to just do that, and then it just makes it come out a lot more defined.
Oh, look how pretty that looks.
And it just makes it pops out a lot more, yeah.
And it kind of gives a smoother look. Well, thank you so much, Dalesa. You're going to walk out of here just with the perfect makeup. Bill?